Hello, this is my tutorial on how to replace your laptop screen. My laptop is the Acer Aspire V5-572G 6679. And the first thing you're going to need to do is figure out which type of screen you have. And to do that, you need to remove the screen. The first thing you need to do is remove the bezel, which I've already done. And I would put it back on and show you guys how to remove it yourselves, but I had broken a couple of these pins here, and I didn't want to risk putting it back on and breaking a couple others by mistake. I just found another one over here that's also broken. Let's see if it's in the camera. I can't tell. And I'm just gonna take it off. There. It's just a little snap, but the ones I broke, it doesn't really matter all that much because the bezel still snaps onto the screen pretty securely, so you don't really notice it if you break a couple. But to get it off, yours will probably be a lot like this, and you just take a credit card, like so. You just take a credit card and start sliding it up into the edges of the screen until it snaps off, and it will require a little bit of force, and hopefully you won't break anything. But for what you need to do is just work your way around the bezel until it comes completely off. These feet here on the hinges also are snapped in, so be wary of that. I'll also include a link in the video description of someone else removing their bezel. But once you've got that removed, all you have left is the screen, and the screen's pretty easy to remove. Down here it says don't touch, but if your screen's broken, you go ahead and do it. You can see how mine's messed up. When I press against it, half the screen starts flickering. And so, to remove the screen, it's really simple. You just take a screwdriver and a really small Phillips head bit. And there are 4 screws. There's one here up in this corner, one here in this corner, one here down here in this corner, and one here down in this corner. They're all the same size. They all go into the similar type of hole, so you won't get them mixed up by accident. So we're going to go ahead and take the screws out now. My screen, I'm not exactly sure how it broke, but it probably broke because of just being opened and closed, and the screen, or the frame that it sits in, is fairly flimsy, so I'm assuming that just after using it a lot, it eventually wore out. I'm getting the last screw out now. Make sure you put these in a safe place. You do not want to lose them. And if they fall, be careful because they're really tiny. And I've had one fall into the hinge that is right down here, and I've had to flip the laptop over to get it out. Just be careful if your screen's unscrewed. You do not want it falling out. Okay, so now the screen is loose, but do not yank it out. There's another cable attached to it from behind, giving it power and video. Okay, so now I've got this out. Right here it says your model number, and for this particular screen it's a V5-572G TN03.1. And if you do what I did and go to a website like laptopscreen.com, I believe it is, if you go there and search that, your screen will pop up and you'll be able to buy a replacement for it. So what I'm going to do is, you can't just yank the cable out because there is it's being held there by adhesive. We do not want to mess up the adhesive because it helps hold the cable in, and we want to make sure our new screen is held in there fairly well. Okay, I've got a little flathead bit I'm putting in my screwdriver to help me. Okay, so this is a little fun. This is new for me. I haven't done this yet. It looks like if I start back here, there's a little gap. Yeah, if I start here, closer to the connector, there's a small gap. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my laptop, actually. Let's do that real quick. Just want to be very delicate with it. Okay, let me move in closer. Okay, the cable just slides right out. And now, we've got the screen out. Here's the screen. I've got it disconnected. And I can do whatever I want with it. Now, I'm going to get the new screen. Your new screen will come in a box a lot like this. And once you get it open, your screen will be in another envelope. And here we go. Here's the screen. You need to be sure you are very careful with this screen because it is the one we do not want to break. I got a matte screen. The last screen I had was glossy. It doesn't matter. It's personal preference on which one you want to get. I don't like glare, so I opted to get the matte screen over the glossy. But it's up to you. It's totally personal choice, and it doesn't matter what type of laptop you have. Matte or glossy, it's up to you. Let's see. We are going to need to put the cable back in and then put the adhesive back down. Shouldn't be too difficult. Okay. Let's get this back on there. I'm touching the adhesive a little bit, but try not to touch it as much as possible. This cable needs to stay nice and snug. Okay, that looks good to me. What I'm going to do, actually, before I screw everything in, I'm just going to turn it on real quick. See if everything works, then I'm going to turn it back off. There should have been something by now. Let's go ahead and turn this back off. Let's make sure the cable's all the way in. Okay. Another little thing is the cable will snap back in. Let's see if I got a close up. The cable will snap back in. It being snapped and unsnapped is very difficult to see. So if you don't see it, just make sure it just snapped in on the left side then the right side. Let's try powering it on. There we go. The screen is working. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back off. I'm going to take my screwdriver again, and I'm going to take the small Phillips head that I had. Let's see. This says the Phillips head is pH 0.0 is what it says there. I'm going to take my 4 little screws and I'm going to reconnect them, and a magnetic screwdriver would be very helpful here because I'm probably going to drop some of these. Be very careful not to put pressure on this black tape part down here because it's very fragile and moving it could break your screen. Okay, remember they don't have to be too tight, just make sure they're secure because they're not really going to move once they're in there. Just remember when you're unplugging the cord from the back of the laptop screen, just remember, be very careful with it. Trying to yank it out or pulling it out the wrong way will probably break it, and then you're gonna have to figure out how to fix that too, and I'm not sure how to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take off the little tape on the sides here. There we go. Got our brand new screen. Let's take our bezel and to put the bezel back on, all we need to do is just snap it back in. Oop. You need to be careful and make sure the wires are where they need to be. This wire slides right up under here beneath the screen. There's a little slot for it, so if your wire comes out, just so you know, it's a little slot that it goes in there. Okay. Believe this is the cable that goes to the back of the screen, so you want to make sure you're very careful with it. Let's see. Yeah, just keep trying to push it under there. Okay, now we want to snap the bezel back on. It's also a good chance to clean the bezel once you've got it off. Just kind of try and snap it on wherever you can get it to, and come back for spots that you can't get. Okay. There we go. There we go. Careful around the camera. Okay, it's safe to turn the laptop back on, so we'll go ahead and do that. Hard. The hardest part is putting the bottom of the bezel back on. There. The snaps are at the very bottom of it, so what I'm doing is I'm putting pressure on the very bottom of the back, and then I'm putting pressure on the very bottom of the front. I'm putting pressure on the very bottom of the back and putting pressure on the very bottom of the front of the bezel to make sure it's nice and secure. And see, I've broken off 4 snaps, but this thing looks like it's pretty solidly on there. It's not peeling up or anything. It's on there really nice and tight. Okay, and now my screen is all back to normal. Thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial helped you with your screen. Thanks for watching.